Hi there. Welcome back to another 5 on Fridays. My name is Jacob Hittle. I am the exercise physiologist with the City of Columbus, working on behalf of the Benefits and Wellness team. In this week's episode, I speak with Andrea Hauser of Injury Prevention from Columbus Public Health, and she's going to be talking all things car seats, specifically how to even put your seat in your car, how to properly fit your child to the car seat, and more. And before we get into the interview with Andrea, it'd be a huge help if you hit that subscribe button, so not only are you informed of when we post content like this, but also we can continue growing our YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's go chat with Andrea. Thanks, Andrea, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so before we get started, Andrea, tell me a little bit about yourself and your role with the city.
Yeah, so I work at Columbus Public Health. I'm the Director of Injury Prevention, and I've been here for about 11 or so years in a couple of different roles, but currently overseeing injury prevention programs in Franklin County.
That's great. So today we're going to be talking about car seat best practices. So what is the best car seat?
Right, that's a great question to start us off. So the best car seat is one that fits your child, that fits in your vehicle, that fits in your budget, and that you can install correctly in your car each and every time.
So what type of car seats are available? I see a lot of car seats behind you.
I do. So I have a couple of different examples, and we'll just kind of walk through them. The first car seat over here is what we call an infant seat, or a rear facing only. That car seat is going to only face the back of the car and is typically for very young infants all the way up to the maximum height and weight restrictions of that seat. And then next here on our training seat, we have a convertible car seat. This car seat converts both rear facing, or to the back of the car, and also forward facing to the front of the car. So it converts as your child gets older. And then I don't have it one here, but a combination seat is another option. That car seat is forward facing only, has a harness, but then also transitions to a booster seat. And then I have just a low back booster here in the middle. That car seat would be typically one of the last car seats that you would use. And uses the lap and shoulder belt in your vehicle to secure the child to the vehicle seat.
Interesting. So Andrea, how do I install the car seat in my car?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's a couple ways. You can either use this seat belt, the lap and shoulder belt that would be on your vehicle. Car seats also come with what we would call lower anchor straps. Those lower anchor straps could attach to the lower anchors in your vehicle, depending on if you have that with your vehicle. And so I would just caution you want to use one or the other. We don't want to use both. But just quickly, typically if using the seat belt to install your car seat, you want to make sure that it locks. So you want to buckle it in. Then you want to typically, for most cars, you would check your vehicle manual to double check if this is correct for your vehicle, but most cars you pull the seatbelt all the way out, and then you can kind of hear it ratcheting it in, and you can't pull it out anymore. That indicates that the seatbelt has locked. So you would buckle the seatbelt, pull your seatbelt webbing all the way out to lock it, let it retract in every so often, and then tighten up your car seat so that it's nice and snug in your vehicle seat. If you were to use those lower anchors, you would take your lower anchor, attach it to your lower anchor bar on the bottom of your vehicle seat, and then tighten it up to make sure it's nice and secure. If forward facing, you want to make sure that you use the top tether as well.
So Andrea, can I use both the seatbelt and lower anchors to install my car seat?
That's a great question, and we see that a lot. You kind of think if one is good, two is going to be better. And typically you cannot use both. You double check your car seat manual and your vehicle manual to see if that's allowed. But for the most part, you would use either the seat belt or the lower anchors, but not both.
Interesting. So how do I know the car seat is installed correctly?
So once you've got your car seat installed, either with lower anchors or the seat belt, you want to make sure that it doesn't move more than an inch side to side or forward to back. You want to give it a nice tug at the belt path. The belt path is going to be closest to the vehicle seat back. And once you give it a tug at the belt path, you just want to make sure it doesn't move more than an inch side to side or forward to back. If I check out here, it's going to wiggle a little bit. So you definitely want to check that at the belt path and make sure that you've got it installed nice and tight.
So how do I know if my child is in the car seat correctly?
So to make sure your child, we want it for a seat that has a harness, we want to make sure that they're harnessed in nice and tight. So you want to loosen and tighten these harness straps each time. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but on this seat, there's a silver button on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'll push that down and pull up on these straps here. That loosens it, loosens my harness. I would go ahead and place my child inside the car seat, making sure that these harness straps, if my child is forward facing or facing the front of the car, the harness straps are at or above their shoulders. So making sure I've got the right harness slot, I place the harness straps over their shoulders, buckle what we call the chest clip. You can do it in any order, just make sure all of the buckles and straps are clicked in. So you go ahead and then tighten that. By tightening it, I'm basically pulling on this black strap here, and I'm gonna tighten that harness strap up nice and snug. So we don't want to be able to pinch any webbing at the shoulders once we've got it nice and tight.
So Andrea, when is it appropriate for a child to move to the next seat?
So we want your child to max out their seat at each stage. So we want to make sure that they use that seat to the maximum height or weight of that the car seat manufacturer indicates on either the labels or the car seat manual. So you want to double check that. Typically we want to rear face or face the back of the vehicle as long as possible. Most seats nowadays can have children rear face up to 2 years old or so, sometimes even longer, just depending on the size of your child. So car seats also have labeling on the side. Many of those labels indicate what the maximum height and weight guidelines are for that seat. So rear face as long as possible, and then you'll turn forward facing to a seat with a harness, and then you'll keep the harness on your child as long as possible, and then you would transition to more of like a booster. You could do a high back booster or a booster with a back, or a low back booster like that one there.
Got it. Interesting. When can I stop using car seats?
So typically we want to, the booster seat will be the last seat that you'll use, and I'll just transition here real fast. So the booster seat may be one of the last seats that you'll use, and it basically is to boost a child up so that this lap and shoulder belt fit correctly. We want the seat belt to be low on the child's hips, not on their stomach, and across between their neck and their shoulder, not up against their neck. So that's kind of how we figure out how to indicate that. A good resource for knowing how to use your car seats, any car seat that I've shown properly, would be to always check the car seat manual. The manual will give instructions on how to specifically use that seat, how to use it in all the various modes that are available. And then also help answer any questions you have. So manuals do come with the seats, but if you have lost your manual or you don't have one, a lot of times you can find those car seat manuals online, either with the car seat manufacturer or the company that makes the car seats. Or you can also call the car seat manufacturer and ask for a manual that way, or ask any questions. But for the booster seat, I just want to point out that to make sure that you've got your seatbelt routed correctly. So in this case, we have our booster seat, and over here, This seatbelt routes under the handle there, so that gives the best fit for the child in that car seat. But every car seat is different, so you just want to double check that you've got your lap and shoulder belt routed correctly. For a booster seat like this, you would not want to use just a lap belt. Not a lot of cars have just a lap belt anymore, but if you do happen to have one, you wouldn't be able to use just a lap belt with this car seat.
So are there any other strategies how to know when my child can stop using a booster?
Yeah, so there's a 5-step test that we kind of look at to indicate when can our child finally use just the lap and shoulder belt and we don't have to worry about the car seat. You would want to make sure that your child's legs fold over the edge of the vehicle seat and their feet placed flat on the ground. You want to make sure that their bottom is scooted all the way back in the vehicle seat. You want to make sure that that shoulder belt is low on their hips, not across their stomach, and crosses between their neck and shoulder, not kind of up against the neck. And then lastly, you want to make sure they can sit that way the entire ride, which is kind of hard. I will say the best practice for a booster seat, to get out of a booster seat, to use the lap and shoulder belt, typically happens around when kids are 10 to 12 years old and 4'9". 4'9" is pretty tall. Not all kids get to 4'9" at the same time. So just this right here, this very top line is 4'9", so you can kind of see how tall that is. But the seatbelts are made for adults. So we want our kiddos to be as big as possible to be able to use that lap and shoulder belt correctly without the help of a car seat.
Gotcha. Andrea, my car seat seems to have 3 lower anchors. What's the 3rd strap for?
Yeah, so I encourage everyone to check out their car seats, to kind of look them over, see what kind of pieces each one has. But just like you mentioned, sometimes it seems like they have a couple extra straps. I have some straps down here. I have a strap up here. What typically people think of as the 3rd strap is this tether anchor here. This one happens to be indicated by some nice bright red manufacturing product. So this would be our tether strap. So when installing and forward facing, you want to make sure to always use that tether strap. Typically this attaches somewhere behind the seat in your vehicle. You double check your vehicle manual to see exactly where that is. But the tether strap is important because it reduces how much the head moves forward in a crash and reduces a lot of head injuries. So we want to make sure that you use that as whenever you can, whenever possible.
Yeah, that's really good information. Andrea, what are 5 things that I can do at home right now with my car seat?
Yeah, so I've given a lot of information and you may be somewhat overwhelmed, like I already have a seat. What can I do? How can I make sure that I've got what I need? So I definitely would encourage you to make sure you have the right seat. So that a seat that fits your child based on their age, height, or weight, that it fits in your vehicle, that you've got the right thing for your child. And I want to also mention that just like milk expires, car seats expire as well. So double check the labels on your car seat. There should be typically an indication of when it was either made or when it expires, and you just want to double check that your seat is still safe to use. The second thing I would encourage you to think about is that you've got them in the right place. So sometimes we refer to kiddos as VIPs, and we know that all VIPs sit in the back seat. So we want kids to sit in the back seat until at least age 13. Older is fine too. That just makes sure they're safest in the back seat, away from those frontal airbags that could be somewhat damaging if you were in a crash. The third thing to think about is if you've got the right direction. So, you know, if your child is younger and you're still able to rear face, are you rear facing? If your child is older, are you forward facing with the harness? So are we facing the car seat the right way based on their age, height, and weight? And then the fourth thing would be the inch test. We talked about how to know if your car seat is installed correctly, and that's what I mean by the inch test. Again, you're checking at the belt path, which is typically on this seat, it's going to be the path that is closest to the vehicle seat. So when I'm forward facing, my belt path to use is this one here that's closest to the vehicle seat. So at that belt path, I'm gonna give it a gentle tug. You wanna make sure that it doesn't move more than an inch side to side or forward to back. And then lastly, you'll do what we call the pinch test. So you'll harness your child in, you'll get those harnesses nice and snug, tightening those up, and then you'll just kind of try to grab any webbing here at the shoulder to make sure you can't pinch any excess webbing and that you've got it nice and tight. But those are just a few tips to make sure you've got your car seat in correctly.
That was a lot of information, Andrea. Thank you so much. Do you have any closing thoughts? And also, if people have further questions, how do they contact you, or how do they, do you have a phone number or an email that folks can reach out to?
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, the only final thoughts I would have is that people are trained to do this. We have child passenger safety technicians that attend a 4-day class to become car seat experts. So we have child passenger safety technicians in our area, and they would love to help you just double check that you've got your car seat installed correctly. And so to reach out to us to find a car seat technician in your area or a car seat check event, you can give us a call at 645-7748, and that goes to our car seat program line. And then you could also email us at carseats@columbus.gov. And I would encourage you just to reach out. We can definitely assist with any car seat questions or get you connected to a car seat check event happening locally. The other option I would give is on our website, columbus.gov/car seats. Along the left-hand side, there's a red highlighted section that says car seat check event schedule. You can absolutely click on that, and that'll show various car seat check events happening around Franklin County. And so either one of those would be great.
Great, Andrea. Thank you so much for being a part of today's conversation. We're both, we're definitely making sure that our children stay safe in vehicles, and I appreciate all the work that you do for the public.
Yeah, my pleasure. We'll be happy to assist anyone who has any questions. So thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hope that information was helpful. If you did like that video, please hit the like button. Also, if you have not had a chance, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can continue growing our channel. And last but not least, have a safe and healthy weekend, and we'll see you next week.